In elementary school, I had to read a collection of classic stories and fables. Most of them were okay, with classic morals expressed in a timeless way. But I don't remember any of them specifically, except for one, attributed to Aesop. In The Miller, His Son, and Their Donkey, we learn the story of a miller and his son walking to market in hopes of selling their donkey. On the way there, they pass by various people with different social values and expectations. One person finds it stupid that they walk while the donkey carries no load on his back. How dumb must the miller be not to utilize an asset right in front of him? So, the miller tells his son to ride on the donkey's back. Another man finds it disrespectful for the young, healthy son to ride while his father has to walk. So the miller tells his son to get off, and he rides for a change. Just ahead, another person finds it disgraceful for a father to ride alone while his son is forced to walk. So the miller invites his son to climb on the donkey with him, and both ride. Suddenly, a man from the next group exclaimed how it was criminal for the donkey to be forced to carry such a heavy load. In a figure of speech, he says that they look more able to carry the poor creature than he to carry them. Naturally, the miller and his son both scramble off the donkey's back and enter the market carrying the donkey tied to a pole. This sight causes such an uproar that the donkey becomes restless, kicking until his ropes break free and he tumbles into the river. The moral of this story was that when you try to please everyone, you'll please no one. And it made perfect sense. How could you possibly manage to meet the expectations of every single person you cross on the street when everyone has such clearly contradictory frameworks and perceptions? You'd best stick to your principles and work with what you can gain from there. In the time of Aesop, though the original authorship of the fable is widely disputed, that was that. Yet, in the 21st century, the millers of our world are attempting a new method, completely unknown to a time before mass media. This method centers around a type of humor called irony. More specifically, a type of irony where meaning is completely ambiguous. Meta-irony. Let's remake our protagonists into a more reasonable occupation for the first quarter of the 21st century. Our heroes are the hosts of a cutesy father-son YouTube vlogging channel, and they're selling ads and subscriptions on the omnipresent internet marketplace. The old miller had the problem of not being able to satisfy cynics, animal rights activists, elder respecters, and child protectors all at the same time. But our vlogging miller's viewers come from wildly different religious, political, and moral backgrounds from all over the planet, not just ancient Greece. And offending someone could greatly reduce the income obtainable from their endeavors. It could be argued that our neo-miller has it much worse off, but meta-irony holds an interesting promise. You see, the way we use words got all screwed up a little while ago. While irony in the traditional boomer-esque sense simply meant the opposite of what you said, rules like that no longer always follow. From hardcore Roblox bros lolling about how Roblox definitely isn't a kid's game, to ironic parodies like Keck being used unironically by actual fascists, sarcastic tones no longer indicate disagreement with the words said. Irony can now be both sarcastic or sincere, and anyone can say that anything they said means anything to anyone. Imagine Neo Miller and his son shoot a video about a visit to the zoo. Throughout the day, they make offhand comments about animal rights, and at one point, Neo Miller says, in an ironic tone, that it's criminal for these animals to be locked up the way they are. Neo Miller engages in a humorous B-plot where he pranks employees, asking them to release animals at various exhibits. The whole demonstration seemed done ironically, with many of the comments said in a sarcastic tone, but was he really being ironic about everything he said? Of course not. In fact, they have some vegan subscribers working at PETA who completely appreciate this post-ironic demonstration of decency to innocent animals. At the same time, some anti-vegans really enjoyed that parody of how insane some animal rights activists are. Yet Neo Miller himself meant nothing by his words. Anything can mean anything if the tone is ironic and you lack a true point of view. Let's imagine a brief scene where Neo Miller needs to discipline his son for stealing a souvenir from the gift shop. The acceptable action in such a case is something that varies wildly between individuals in our culture, and pleasing everyone would be extremely difficult. So Neo Miller avoids the point entirely. He returns the stolen souvenir, then vaguely scolds his son in an ironic tone. Since irony can mean anything, his point of view could be anything, and anyone can project their own ideals onto Neo Miller. Authoritarian and laissez-faire parents alike are impressed by his stance, either his stern scolding or his ironic parody of stern parents, whatever they want to see. He seems to be able to please everyone, all at once. That's the theory, anyway, and many people have tried using meta-irony to pull one over on Aesop. But how does it actually work in the real world? I used meta-irony a great deal when I was younger, to an extent where fundamental parts of my personality became ambiguous, and a true formulation of myself was impossible. In a limited way, meta-irony did make it possible for me to be liked by more people. But at what cost? Communicating something with no meaning isn't actually communication. And if that's all you do, well, you just deprived yourself from communication, something essential for human life. Despite its prevalence today, meta-irony is disastrous. The more you use it, the harder it is to formulate your legitimate beliefs. The more you use it, the harder it becomes to connect with others on a personal level, since communication about your most basic feelings becomes impaired. The more you use it in hopes of being accepted by everyone, you become unable to relate to anyone because your true beliefs and feelings are non-existent. Aesop didn't know about meta-irony. He lived in a world where you simply expressed things based on your worldviews. But his moral remains true just the same. When you try to please everyone, you please no one. Human connection and sincere communication are completely destroyed by the regular use of ambiguous irony, and it never works in the long run. Thanks for watching this video. I'm trying out something new with this, a shorter form essay dipping into the topics of my documentary in a more accessible way. Let me know if you like this and I'll try making more. Something big has been in the works for the past couple months, but I don't have a complete timeline for it, and it might not end up as big as I think. I'll just see what happens.